Welcome to Akron Buzz, everyone. I'm your host, Sarah White, and we love to put the spotlight here at Akron Buzz on all things Akron. So today, we're putting the spotlight on Dave's Cosmic Subs. I'm hanging out with Cosmic Dave from Dave's Cosmic Subs. So let's start off by talking about the history and how you got into this business.
About 22 years ago, March 5th, 1997 is when I opened up.
Okay.
My wife and I were in the clothing business in Beechwood.
Okay.
Got out of the clothing business. We opened up a store in Starbucks in Chagrin.
Okay.
Got out of the business. There's a little house in back of Starbucks, a cute little house, which was the original store. Mm-hmm. So I went off to the balcony in the back. We were burned out, wanted to move on. So I looked at the little house and I said, that would be a great rock and roll sub shop. Mm-hmm. So she looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. So that's what I did. I took over the shop. At that time, there were like antiques in there, and just, they never opened up the building. It just sat there. It was a perfect spot for a little sub shop.
Nice.
So I cleaned out the place, went to the owner, who also owned Starbucks at the time. It was not Starbucks. That clothing store at the time.
Okay.
And he said, you can have the little store, do what you got to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to do a rock and roll sub shop.
Yeah.
At that time, it was called Dave's Famous Subs, which is what I came up with.
Okay.
But my idea was to go into the small little space, make it all rock and roll with pictures and psychedelic paintings and create a sub. So I had no idea what I was doing, except my memory that I had with my father years ago when I was a kid in high school, and I would date and come home, and my dad would wait up for me late at night, like at 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to be home at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we'd go in the kitchen, and my dad and I would eat sandwiches, big copper gold sandwiches with a less cheese bread, great bread at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd sit there over the sink, and we'd eat these sandwiches with red tomatoes and dripping. And
is that how you created
That's
some of
how
the
I
sandwiches?
created it.
Yeah.
So I thought of the memory of these sandwiches with my dad and I. So I went to all the sub shops in Cleveland.
Okay.
I went to about probably 22 sub shops, bought all the subs, all Italian subs from anywhere from the grocery stores to sub shops, and brought them all home, put them all on the table. And I opened up all the subs, and I looked at all of the meats and the sauces and the breads, and they all had something in common.
Mm-hmm. What was it?
They were all soft bread. The meats weren't that great. The sauce was inferior, wasn't great. I don't know what it was. So I knew what I had to do.
Right, so you want to make
I
a
was
better
brought
product.
up with excellent bread. I had to do better on my meats. I created the sauce. So my sauce is Dave's Cosmic Sauce. I created, which I sell in grocery stores now, and I'm doing very well with it.
Nice.
Everyone buys my sauce. Or do they go to the stores and buy my sauce? So I put it all together, came up with a bunch of subs, like 20 subs, created all these names, the blue, the far out, all these names, whatever it came up with. And then I opened up my doors on March 5th.
Okay, and how did it go?
Terrible. No one showed up.
No one came.
I had like 5 people show up, and they were looking at the ceiling, at the rock and roll, because I have a rock and roll heaven up there.
Okay.
With all these past rockers that have died. And they're all up in the ceiling, so they're looking, they go, wow. Then they finally try my sub. They go, wow, this is a pretty good sub. This is a decent sub. Mm-hmm. Well, at that time, there was, I'm not going to mention his name, but there was someone in town that made bread.
Okay.
That I bought my bread from and used his bread.
Okay.
I can't say who it was.
That's okay. We don't need to know who it is.
All right. So I used that bread, used my meats, my idea, my sauce. And it was a good sub. It was crunchy, it was delicious. So, I had a few more people walking in, and a little bit before you know it, whatever. So all of a sudden, the guy that made the bread, he would show up, and instead of making a sub roll, it'd be, sort of like a square or a round, or it would be shaped like this. I go, I gotta have a sub roll.
Yeah.
It's gotta be a sub roll. So he looked at me and said, you don't like my bread? I said, no, it's great bread, but I got to have a sub roll.
So what'd you do?
We didn't get along.
Okay.
So I had to find new bread.
Ended the relationship.
So I had to find, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful guy, but I had to find new bread. So I found new bread, and that was the end of that. And I capped my bread, and we're doing very well. But what happened was when I was there, the first year going to the second year was a lot more people.
Okay.
You know, the word was out that Dave makes
So
a pretty good sub.
Getting more business.
Yeah, it was. Now you're talking about a very liberal idea of Dave's hippie whole thing and chagrin. At the time, they were very conservative.
Right, right.
I don't know if you remember that, but
I do know
but it
chagrin,
was.
yeah.
Oh, very. Now it's the opposite, you know. But so it took them some time to come in.
Okay.
But they started coming in. They started eating my subs, and I started doing great. Third year, I did wonderful. Fourth year. My fifth year, I sold my first franchise. It was at Fairmont Circle by John Carroll University.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
How many stores do you have now? And I know that you've grown quite a bit. So
Yeah.
how many regular Dave's Cosmic Sub stores do you have?
We have 25 stores right now.
And there's one in Fairlawn. We want to make sure to address that because we're talking about Akron.
I can't name them all.
We definitely want our Akron audience to
Yeah.
go to the one in Fairlawn.
Oh
Tell
yeah,
us.
but it's a great store, and you know, we do great subs, makes, you know, and drinks and all that stuff. And they're open. They have good hours, and they're nice people that own it. And they also own a store at the zoo, and they also own a store in Medina.
Okay,
So they have
great.
3 stores.
So they have 3 stores.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing some other things as well. So you're doing these rock clubs. You have 3 of
Yeah.
them. So tell
Cosmic
us
Dave's
just
Rock
real
Club.
quick
We have
about
one.
those.
We have
just
one.
one.
First
Okay.
one is at Case Western
Case
Reserve.
Western, yep.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
cool.
first one. That's a full bar. That's our subs, and that's live rock and roll music.
Perfect. So people can go up to Case Western and
Oh,
check
yeah.
that out.
Great
Check
store.
out your store in Fairlawn.
Great store.
And then
My
you
truck.
also are doing trucks.
Right.
So
we,
real quick, tell us about
we opened
those.
up our first truck in Fort Myers. Yeah.
And do you think you're going to
Store-
expand those
truck's
trucks?
doing great.
Do you think
Oh,
we'll do
my
trucks
God,
up
yes.
here in Ohio?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Right now, at this point, I've hired 2 people
Okay.
to sell all 3 stores in the areas that I own stores.
Mhm.
So that's what we're doing right now. We hope to open up maybe 30, 40 stores this year.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe we can
Yeah.
look forward to more local stores around here.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thank you so
Well,
much.
we have one opening up in Columbus as well.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
just told me on High
Yeah,
Street.
about a month. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it'll
So
be good.
lots of good Ohio stores. Hopefully
Yeah.
we'll get some more here in the Akron area as well. Thank you so much for being here with us
Thank
today,
you.
Dave. It
Thank
was
you
really
very
great
much.
talking to you. I'm Sarah with Akron Buzz. If you want to be a guest on Akron Buzz, you can go to Akron at akronbuzz.com. We'll see you next time.